Well, welcome back. Let's level up today. We're working on session 4 of our 6-part series, and over the past 3 sessions, we've talked about how to onboard new members smoothly, how to build a supportive culture, and how to make pathways feel normal, visible, and empowering. And today, we're going to make a shift from culture to strategy. Today, we shift from ideas to intentional execution, and to do that, we're going to use tool number 4. That's where the A student strategy comes in.
Una respuesta pronto al cliente. Una respuesta pronto al cliente.
I'm going to, there we go. So let's talk about how focused effort leads to presence distinguished by design. Let's begin by looking at what would an A student do. Think about the best students you've ever known, or maybe you were actually that A student. I certainly wasn't in my first year of college, but that's where I learned this strategy. A students don't just work hard, they work smart. They know what the teacher is really looking for, and they don't cram at the last minute. They stay ahead. They don't do everything, they do what matters, and they do what matters in a timely way. And to do that, they follow the syllabus. They understand that great grades aren't a mystery or something that happens to lucky people, and also that great grades are not out of reach when someone has a strategy to achieve it and then they work that strategy. Of course, there has to be a working of the strategy. But they follow the syllabus and they stay slightly ahead of that, and then they don't panic at deadlines. They know that what they really need is strategy, clarity, and consistency, not luck. Now, what if your club took the same approach to the Distinguished Club program? To do that, we want to develop an A student mindset. And here's what that mindset looks like in Toastmasters leadership. To think like a strategic student of the system, the DCP system, we want to know what counts. There are a lot of tasks that could be done, but not all of them count as much as each other. Some of them count very little, and some are very weighty in how much they count. So don't get lost in tasks. Focus on what moves the needle, the little efforts that are going to get you the best results. Also, don't ignore the easy points. Get those easy points first, knock them out of the way, and then spend more of your time on the things that are a longer process to achieve. So to get to the easy points first, you might look at who's already close to completing a level and then help them across the line. You want to stay slightly ahead and make sure you don't fall behind, even if you just keep up, because you don't want to have that fourth quarter scramble. You don't want to try to make up for lost time when you're going to find that different schedules fall in different ways and all kinds of events happen where you need contingencies, and it gets very difficult to complete it because everything is being done under stress and in a rush. And always do expect contingencies. People move. Life happens. Always have a plan B. And I'll show you how to do that with the strategy tool I'm going to show you in a few minutes. And then make leadership simple, and if you can, visual. Track it, prioritize what's important, and then take action. A strategy is not going to do anything unless action is put to it. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the work of the action, but we know what work to do, when to do it, when we have a good strategy to help direct us and to guide us. This strategy works because it helps your club succeed by design, not by accident. And you'll find that you don't need more effort, you just need a smarter focus. Now, if you find that you do need more effort, well, then that's okay. You'll know where to put that more effort so that you don't have to spend time spinning your wheels on things that don't really count as much. So tool number 4, the A student strategy. Tool number 4 is all about turning pathways completions into Distinguished Club program success. The tool helps you to turn pathways into achievements and to build a plan based on what's already working. You've got some things that are working in your club and probably many things that are working great. Keep building on that. Maximize those strengths and minimize the effects of what's not working so well. Work those into okay and then work okay into a strength. And in this way, you conserve leadership energy while boosting club success. And that's how top clubs reach their goals without guesswork or burnout. At Ozark Orders, we were able to make President's Distinguished this year, and it was not hard. We did the work, but it was not particularly stressful. But because this was my first year as VPE and VP membership, I was working out a lot of things other than these strategies. But these strategies helped me a lot because they were already skill sets that I had. And so what I've done here is I've packaged them in tools that will help anybody in any club begin to use strategies that help them to achieve success without burning out. There's a lot of burnout that happens, but a lot of that burnout can come from spinning wheels and then the stress of trying to catch up and trying to figure out what to do in an environment that seems like it changes often, but it really doesn't. Not anywhere near as often as other platforms we might be familiar with, like Facebook, say. So let's take a look at that worksheet. Here's your club strategy sheet, and it's focused. What I'm going to talk about today is focused just on education goals. But let me pop that sheet up here into the view where you can see it. And this is what I call a distinguished club strategy worksheet. And if you were to look at your sheet on Toastmasters, let me go and show you that first. .org. You'd go to Distinguished Performance Reports, and you want to look at District 8 for anybody who doesn't yet know how to use this, and you would look for your club. And today I'm going to be using my club, Ozark Orders, as an example. So I just go down, we're in Division E, and there we are, Ozark Orders. And this is something of a scorecard. I think of it as a scorecard, but I've turned it into a strategy sheet. But this tells you everything you need to know to get into the Distinguished Club program. Well, almost everything. You need to work in your own deadlines and things like that, but it tells you what has to be done and sometimes when it needs to be done. Like club officers are trained June to August, and then a second round in November and February. And tells you what kind of goals you need to get. Tells you a growth goal, what's required in growth. We started out the year with 8. We actually signed up 17 this year, and we have one moved and one has not renewed. I'm not sure what's going on for him, but we'll check into that. But we are well above our required for the year. And each of these tells you what you have to do to get 1 point. Each of these checks is 1 point. So you see, like a level 1, you have to get 4 level 1s, and you have to get 2 level 2s, and then you can get maybe 2 more level 2s, which this year we did not, and then 2 level 3s, and then 1 level 4, or etc., and then 1 more level 4, or etc., and you can get your points that way. So we're going to be looking. So I based my worksheet on this particular sheet. Although I've changed the viewpoint. It's not another form, it's simply a leader's lens on the sheet I just showed you, that Distinguished Club Program progress sheet. But what you're looking at here is, here's the education section, here's the administration section, the training section, and the membership section. Now I put these on my lens, I put them in order of what I consider to be the easiest to the most difficult, or the longest process. So club officer list on time, that's a no-brainer, but you do have to be paying attention for it to happen. So it's a good one just to really get it knocked off right away. And then membership dues on time. We collect dues every 6 months, of course, so we have to watch this a couple times a year. But we want to make sure we get those membership dues in, and when it's time for renewals. But that's easy to do. We just have to be aware of it and then do it when it comes in a timely way, and then we can make it happen. So I put that right up on top, keep it top of mind, but I'm not going to delve deeply into it. Then the training. Okay, this is another one that it's not very difficult to do. You just have to make sure that it's not last minute for everybody, and you keep kind of guiding people along. If you're the VPE, especially, and the president, especially, but you want to guide people along to get that training. And if you're not a VPE or VP or the president, you want to make sure that you're getting signed up for the training really quickly because you're a part of that process if you're a club officer. And so you can do self-leadership and make sure you're signing up for it to make sure that your club can get a point here. Now, this is all this work for only 2 points. Yeah, but it's not that hard. And 2 points makes a big difference. We had 9 to get the president distinguished. If we had lost 2 points, we would have been down to 7, which would have only made us select. So it was really good for us to have these points. And you're going to find that you want those points. So don't ever discount a point, especially an easy one, as a part of a strategy. What we're going to focus on today is this education part because we're really working on a pathways education enrollment initiative. But membership is you see it's not that big in points, but it does play a huge role in your net growth requirement. There are some clubs who get a lot of points in the education, but they aren't qualified because they haven't gotten their net growth. So I put the net growth over here on the worksheet to keep it visible for you as you use this Distinguished Club Strategy worksheet to work out a strategy. And there are tools, the tools I'm sharing here in this initiative, there is a whole set of tools in membership as well. Not so much to get the points, although take your points, but especially so that we don't get blindsided by the things in this box. The things in this box are things we can get blindsided by. If we don't have it done, we can still get all the pathways done, but still not be eligible or as eligible for as high as we might with the education alone. As you can see, the education requires 4 level 1s, 2 level 2s, then an additional 2 level 2s, 2 level 3s, and then a level 4 or a pathway completion. I wrote that as 5+1. Don't get fooled. You have to do a level 5, but then you have to do a completion project. So that's why I put a pathways completion as a 5+1. Also, it could be a DTM. A lot of clubs are probably not at that point. If you have a DTM coming up, then definitely write that in this box and use that. But for most of us, we're really not working with people that close, and so, or as far as my experience goes, we're not working with people that close. But if somebody is that close, be aware of it, and you can use that to fill in this block. But if you count this up, there's only 12 levels that have to be completed over an entire year, like 1 a month, right? It's not a whole lot of work, and that's not really the purpose of the DCP. The DCP is not really to make a lot of work. It's to help people make progress. And so it seems like a lot of work when we don't make progress for long periods of time, then all of a sudden we rush to make progress at the end. That's very difficult. In fact, it's almost impossible a lot of times because you really have to get lucky for things to fall into place. But you don't have to get lucky if you start early and be consistent with it, like an A student. And so we just are looking today to how can we build a strategy to get these 12 levels while not missing out on important points in other areas than pathways, and making sure that we're not getting blindsided by requirements. So here's an important requirement here. It's an important factor to keep in mind. This year, this upcoming Toastmasters year, a club success plan must be submitted, and it must be submitted by September 30th, 2025, in order to qualify for anything in the DCP. So you could have 100 new members and 50 new levels completed, and a club would not be eligible for any distinguished status because they did not get the success plan in. Now, it may seem like it's a deadline that comes up fast, but it's really not. The club success plan is a year plan, and by turning it in by 9:30, you really are turning it in at the end of the first quarter. And so if you had your plan done right from the beginning, you could have been working your strategy for 3 extra months. So rather than waiting for the deadline on that one, I would recommend getting that done. Even start working on it now with your incoming officers. Let them start kind of brainstorming, and then get it done in the first month, and then check off that box up there, and you'll have it done. But you'll also have your strategy. And as you do your club success plan, you can work some of the strategy in that you work out when you are working on this worksheet. So you might just strategize with incoming officers. Last night, the incoming president for Ozark Orders had a meeting, just a brainstorming session for incoming officers. And they were discussing a number of things, but they were really seemed to be on fire about membership next year, which is cool. I like that. And what they did was it was like, well, how many new members can we get in? And it was like, okay, well, let's do 3 a month. Well, that sounds pretty good, but that's kind of a lot of work in most environments. But it was important to start thinking about that so that they can start strategizing. And what eventually they came down to was, 2 a month. That would bring in 24 members a year. We already have a base, but we're covering contingencies of people dropping out, but the 2 a month, in order to get to 2 a month, I pointed out we're going to have 6 visitors a month to get that. And so you see, just by doing that brainstorming and some of the stuff for the club success plan, you start working out the actual number. So now we know we have to get 6 visitors, and now we're working on how do we get 6 visitors. It's not that easy in a lot of environments, but it is doable. And so we just have to figure out how. But if we didn't start thinking about that strategy that's behind the club success plan, we wouldn't be thinking about that. So make use of that success club plan and help it to bring you to a distinguished status also. But we're going to go back to education here because that's really what we're talking about today. So to sum it up a little bit on that tool, that strategy worksheet matches the official DCP scorecard structure. And I'm going to put a link in the chat that will let you, let's see, where's my link? Here it is. That will let you download that worksheet now that I've shown it to you. I'll be sending out one with a recap email, but get my file open here. All right, there we go. Come on. So I'll just paste that in the chat right now. There we go. And if you go there, it opens up to the PDF, and you can just download the PDF from that screen. If you need any help with that, just let me know, and we'll get you taken care of. But that worksheet that I've just given you a link for matches the official DCP scorecard structure. Once again, I call it a scorecard. They don't call it that. Today, we'll fill this out using real member progress. So I'm going to take the Ozark Orders data as of today. I just printed off a copy. And we're going to take the mystery out of the pathways portion of the Distinguished Club Program strategy. So let me go ahead and bring in, I took a picture of it, so I'm going to work on it in Paint. Hope you can see that well enough. But in the Basecamp Manager, you can look at paths in progress. And that's a hugely powerful tool, especially for the VPE, to help members to complete levels. Rather than just saying, well, let's do levels, we can actually help them. And that's going to be, I'm going to show you how to do that next tool. But here's how you would use this initially as a strategy tool. So here I've whited out the names here. But these are, everybody knows Ozark Orders. Okay. Not a huge club, actually a small club. And not super impressive in pathways. Not yet. We're getting better. But I can see pathways to President's Distinguished for next year already, even Smedley Distinguished, the brand new one. So let's take a look at how I'm seeing that. Okay, well, let's look at how you might approach your sheet, your paths and progress. Okay, so just run down and look at what levels you have. Okay, there's a 0, 4. These green check marks are this year. They're not going to count for next year. Okay, 1 of 5, 0 of 4. Here's 1 of 4, 3 of 4, 0s of 4, 2 of 4, 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 0 of 4. Okay, so we've got a few possibilities. We've got well, if they started it, that's going to be the best one to start looking at who I want to narrow down and really start focusing on. Okay, so there's all of them. All right, these look good. Now, this isn't really showing the whole story because this person has done their icebreaker, but they never turned it in. And this person this person here has done their icebreaker, but they never turned it in. So there's a couple here that they could get a point here or a level here if I gave them some coaching. So I know they did the speech. So I know here I want to make sure I start looking into why they haven't put their number in and help them get credit for it. Now, this person has not been around for all year. So I'm just going to take this one off because that was probably not going to happen. And this one here, here's a contingency plan. This fella was really on fire, but then he moved after like a month or 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, he did 3 levels, and then now we're hybrid, but I can't get him to come to the meetings on a consistent basis. So I haven't really been able to coach him to help him to finish up this level and keep moving forward. So I'm not going to really focus too much on that one at first. This one here, she's not coming the last few weeks, and I'm kind of thinking something's going on, but that's probably a good one. Okay, these two here, this one here, I didn't mark this one. These two here, 2 of 4 and 2 of 4, they're on fire. They've been around for a couple months, but they saw me working on a bunch of pathways to finish up a whole pathway this year, and now all of a sudden they're doing speeches, and so they've got another. So in the last 2 weeks, they've gotten 2 out of 4, and both of them are going to in the next 2 weeks get another level. And one of them told me the speaking slots are filled up, so he's actually scheduled for the week after. And he said if something happens and somebody doesn't show up, I'll do my speech this week. So they're on fire. So these guys are the ones that I am fanning those flames. So right here, I want to really work on these guys right here. Okay, what I'm really doing is I'm building a roadmap to getting these levels in. I'm going to need 4 of these, hopefully 4 of these, and then two of these, and 1 each of these. So let's see, I've got 2 of these, and let's see. I've got some in my back pocket because they haven't really been showing up, but I can start encouraging them to come back and help them to complete them. But I'm going to look at mine. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Annette. Give those hot ones an opportunity to share in another club, and members and club goals are achieved. All win. Exactly. Uh, these hot ones are probably leaders in the making, and they probably will. Some of them will eventually probably go on to district leadership, and they know from personal experience how they got rolling in pathways and how they really started on fire on pathways. So these are the ones to really turn loose because they're shifting from not doing it to doing it. They know what kept them from doing it. They know what got them to start doing it, and they know how easy it is. And so like one of these fellows here, I think it's the presentation mastery guy. I've got one of them here. She hasn't done any, but she's brand new. She's about 3 weeks in the club, and I've been encouraging her to get her icebreaker started. And so this one guy who did it a couple of weeks ago after having been around in a month for a couple clubs, he told me it was like a mountain off his shoulders. And so I called him over when I was talking to this person and had him tell her about the mountain off his shoulders. So yes, definitely use the people that are hot and to help the people that are warming up to really catch on fire also. And in the process, other people will come in and do something. Like this fella up here, he's been in the club for a year, and he's a contrarian. So I never tell him to do anything because I always know he's gonna have three excuses why it should not be done that way. So I don't even tell him about pathways at all. I don't say a thing about it. I don't tell him I don't even recommend it. But he hears me every week talking about pathways. I'm up there. I'm either doing a speech, and so I'm announcing that I'm doing a pathways project, or I'm getting up doing special announcements, or I'm getting up recognizing people have done pathways. And so a couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago maybe, he was doing an evaluation on me, and he said, it feels like you're always talking to me when you mention pathways. Well, I'm not. I'm just saying it, but he's starting to feel the heat of it a little bit. He's feeling some pressure, but not because I'm putting the pressure on. It's because he's putting the pressure on himself. He's seeing that there's something good there, and he's realizing he's missing out, and nobody's telling him to do it. So he's realizing, well, maybe I ought to do it. And then last week he got up and he did the most beautiful icebreaker speech. And he got up by saying, I realize I've never done the icebreaker that Jim's always talking about, so I figured I better just do it. And he gave this beautiful icebreaker speech. We got to know him so much better. We've known him for a year. He's been in the club coming almost every meeting, and he's done speeches, but we really got to know this person as the person, and it was really valuable. So just keep working. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's fun stuff. And that just that just helps everybody in the club to do better. So he's a potential because he's catching fire himself. He's not somebody that I can motivate. I have to catch his imagination where he thinks he's thinking of it. So it's more indirect, but he's probably catching fire now. So I've got three right there. And now mine, I've just started a new one because I completed a path. And so I know this is me. So I'm going to do a whole path. So I've already decided that. I did a whole path last year, and I'm going to do a whole path this year. So I'm going to just do that. Yeah. And so I've got four on the roadmap right now. We haven't even got new members in or anything. Just by looking what I'm working with, I've got a few in the back pocket that I'm going to be working to help to guide them back into the club and being active and help them getting going. And any new members coming in will start on their things. But I already know my strategy for how I'm going to hit the level 1 requirement. Level 2, well, I know I'm going to do it. I have control over myself, and so I will do it. And look at here, I've got somebody here, 2 of 3. Beautiful. And this one is a little iffy because he kind of dropped out the last month, but he also graduated, and I just saw him last night at our brainstorming meeting, so I think he's still in play pretty well. So he'll probably drop this off pretty quickly. And these guys here, they're going to be rolling over most likely. I don't bank on it, but plan on it and strategize on it. And then when it doesn't happen that way, work somebody else in. But they'll probably be okay here too. So I'm going to be looking at encouraging them not just to finish the level, but even right now, I'm going to be talking about imagine how they're going to feel when they finish the second level. And the second level is even easier because it is easier because it has one less speech in it. So it's easier. So I'm already going to get them motivated to go. See, because I'm working a strategy. I know that I want to help these people move forward, even as I help everybody move forward, but this is where I'm going to focus. So now I've got level 2, I've got 2, and then an initial 2. So I've got 3 points right here. Now here, okay, this guy here will probably do at least 1 level. And so I've got more than, let's say, I've got more than enough here. And I don't really need anybody else here because I know I'm going to do it. But I'll be looking for this guy once he finishes. I'll be looking for him to go here. I'm just working out my beginning strategy. All I'm doing is I'm making roadmaps to get me to checking off those boxes. And in the process, I'm moving everybody along. Why do I have people here right off the bat before the even starts? Because I've already been working on this. So next year, we're going to have it even stronger because I'm going to have even more people out here worked in. And so the strategy will carry year to year. But all I'm really worried about now is this year. And so I really need, well, I'm going to be doing here. So I need 2 of these. So I'm going to be looking for somebody here. This guy is probably going to do it. I know this guy. He's a club president, so he's going to do this. So that will be good. There's my two. I've got one here. I've got one here. So I've got all my points. Okay, going in before we even start the year, I know where my points are coming from. Now, when I say I know where they're coming from, I know where they're coming from today. And I'm always looking at who's, as VPE, I'm always looking at who's shifting, who's catching on fire, who's kind of flaming out a little bit, who seems like they're getting burned out, and I'm going to coach them to help them where they're at, to help them to move to the next step. I'm not going to coach anybody to go 2 or 3 or 4 steps. Most people can probably do 2 levels a year if they're working on it. So I'm going to pretty much think everybody's going to do it, but I'm not going to be talking about that too much. These guys are on fire, and I'm going to kind of keep that fan going a little bit by blowing on that ember a little bit. But other people I will not do that with. So it's really just the numbers here just help me to see what strategy I'm going to take, and it's only an initial strategy. I know it's going to change, and that's okay because that's the fun of it. And this is really the value to us for doing this. This is a game. It's really a game, but it's a game that has real world benefits. When we learn how to work strategy like this and how to move a number of people along with all different levels, all different moving pieces, all different attitudes and opinions about things, we're really developing some real world small group leadership and also scaled leadership. And so this is a really valuable skill for everybody, the people doing it, but also the people leading it. So we'll identify, to recap, we'll identify the completed levels or those that are near finishes and easy wins. We'll recognize the ones that need a little extra attention, and we'll recognize the ones that need a little bit extra fanning. And then we start connecting real names to the DCP goal boxes. And you can write them down there. I'm going to write them on a separate piece of paper. But, as I work my strategy and I need to make changes, I can do it on a big piece of paper. But we're still connecting actual names to those goal boxes. When we look at a goal box, when we look at it this way, we realize, hey, it's not that many. It's only like one a month. And then when we look at the goal boxes names, now we're actually getting closer to where we can start taking action because each of those names probably needs something a little bit different. And especially for the VPE and president, we need to really coach those people or bring people in that are engaged members to help coach the people who are moving along. And in this way, everybody's growing in leadership. We're lining up our leaders for next year by doing that. So this tool can become a very helpful way of visualizing what's going on for everybody and helping to bring people on board so that they're all working for it as well, not just the president and the VPE. So that's what strategy looks like on paper. So next step would be to take action, try it out yourself. And so basically it's just starting your map. Use your own club's data. I showed you where, you undoubtedly know where that scorecard is on the Toastmasters.org site. If you don't, just let me know and I'll be sure to help you to get there or check with somebody in your club. But you want to look at that, and if I recall correctly, any member can look at that. It's not in the Club Central. There is a version in Club Central, but the one I went to was not in Club Central, I don't believe. But use your own club's data and just start playing around with it. Mark names next to goals that they can help fulfill. And circle those 2 or 3 members you'll follow up with this week. So all the plans in the world will come to not much if there's no action put to it. And so let's put some action to it. So circle 2 or 3 members that you'll follow up with this week, and then make the call, send the email, see them in the club meeting. Ask them how if you're a VPE, you can ask them how their pathway is going, but help them to keep it top of mind. Like we learned last week, we're not pathways is not a physical thing that we're carrying into the club, but we want to make sure that it stays in people's minds. So we have to carry it in our words and our actions. And to help build that club, asking the member about it is another contact point for pathways to bring it back up to top of mind for that member. And if you're talking in a context of a group, which sometimes I do, I'll ask people how they're doing in a group. I know the people, so I know who's comfortable with that and who are not. Everybody else is hearing it too. So sometimes I will ask, more publicly, because I'm not making it a big deal. It's not a problem. It's really just, oh, what's happening? I'm interested. And this is how small wins become big momentum. And that's really what we're looking for, momentum. When we have momentum, we're not burning out. And in fact, it's creating its own energy that other people are sensing and they're tapping into and they're starting to get caught up in it. And that even builds more momentum and everybody's excited and everybody's happy. Why does this strategy work? Well, it's very clear. It's clear what has to be done. It's clear pretty much when it has to be done. You've got to fill in your own deadlines. I don't want to put deadlines down that might change, and you've got to make your own deadlines, not the deadline. Make your own deadlines before the deadline, so you can get it in a little bit ahead. But it's clear, and that is motivating. We know what we need to do, and we know when we need to do it. And so now the question is, how do we do it? See, and then when we start asking that question, we start getting ideas, and start working out the nuts and bolts of the actions that we need to do. It's very simple, and simple is actionable. We can just get going, and we can start somewhere, and we can learn as we go, and can build from there. And it's visible. It's repeatable. It's a strategy that you can learn. You can teach other people. You can begin to follow it yourself because it's a simple strategy. The strategy works because it makes growth visible and achievable for you and your members. So take this back to your club. This is another action group here. Share the worksheet at your next officer meeting. Fill in what you know and build a plan for what's next. Even if I had all my circles, I had all my boxes figured out for at least a roadmap to them. You don't have to have that. But by you knowing that you don't have that, you know where to start working to start building that in. It's going to be the start of a new year, and so there's plenty of time to at least get people into level ones. Now, what if they don't want to do pathways? What if they just don't like it? Fine, then they don't make them do it. Don't even insist on them. Just like that one guy in my group where I recognize right off the bat he's a contrarian. He's going to do the exact opposite of whatever I say, and he's going to have excuses for why his viewpoint is right. So I don't tell him to do anything. That's fine. He'll discover it in his own time, or he'll discover it's not for him, and then he won't do it. But at least I won't have forced him to do something he shouldn't have done. But on the other hand, Pathways is the personal growth and professional growth program of Toastmasters. And we want to make sure that we're not robbing new people or people who do want to do it the opportunity by hiding it and not talking about it. So work with those people and let the other people just see what's going on and let them make their own mind up, because frankly, what's right for them, they know what's right for them, so let them make that decision. But don't let them make the decision for people who don't know. Talk to the people who are trying to figure out if this is right for them so they can discover themselves without being influenced by a few small voices that may be afraid of pathways or may have some kind of ideological objection to it or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. We're good with them not doing it. But we're also leading Toastmasters, and this is what Toastmasters do as a part of their personal growth program. And so when we lead people into it, whoever wants to go into it, we're doing our work of helping achieve Toastmasters' goal. And that goal is so that the individual member achieves their personal growth goal. So we're doing a great thing when we're doing this. But you don't have to know it all, and not everybody has to agree to it. Just start working with the ones who are in that direction and bring people along. That's really a coaching leadership style, and that is a real world skill that is super valuable. That's what I do with people, and it's super valuable. And you can use this to celebrate wins, track your progress, and adjust as needed. Every time you mark off something, announce it in the club. Talk about the club, how good they're doing. You're bringing an invisible pathways into physical reality in the sense that it's coming into their mind, and they're creating an image of it in their mind because you're talking about it. So it's come into their reality, even if it's still not physical. And that's how you lead towards presidents distinguished on purpose. Once again, like all these tools, there's nothing new here. There's just usually some of them have a little bit new, but it's really new ways of using old things, or it's new ways of looking at old things. And what we really are looking at are small hinges that will swing the big doors. For the Distinguished Club program, the two big doors are pathways and membership. And don't miss those little points like in administration and training, but and it's not so obvious that the membership is a big part of it, but it is because you've got to get minimum growth levels. So these are the two big doors of the DCP, in my opinion. But those big doors are not really hard to move because they swing on little hinges. And it's these little hinges that we want to make sure are oiled and aligned. And if we oil and align and just give a little bit of push to the door, those hinges are going to do the work for us. So coming up next week, momentum builders. Session 5, I'm going to introduce tool number 5, which is the Pathways Progress Coaching Tool. And I'm going to take that tool and show you how to coach from it. I'm going to use that same worksheet I showed you today, not the worksheet, but the Pathways report and the progress report, and I'm going to show you how to use it as a coaching tool. I kind of gave you some clues today. You'll learn how to recognize meaningful progress, how to reinforce the growth journey of each person in your group, and how to turn small wins into lasting engagement. It's what makes the first 4 tools stick. This is really what it's about. It's not the tools, it's getting people to do the pathways and helping them to connect with it, to engage in it, and to learn from it and to grow from it. And that's going to make them use the other 4 tools just naturally, just because they're excited about what they're doing. So a little bit of reflection and wrap up. Consider what stood out to you today. There was a lot of information here today, and it's likely that 1 or 2 points really stood out to you as a good idea or even a bad idea. But what stood out to you today and why? Because what stood out to you is probably the place for you to begin working on these things and to start building this into your own rhythm, into your own system, into your own process. So start with those things that really stood out. They stood out for a reason, and then make decisions based on what is probably calling out to you at a subconscious level. It's probably calling out to you that this is a good place to start. And then you want to kind of bring that from the subconscious level into the conscious level by thinking, well, what will I try in my club this week? So if it could be related to what stood out, and then just think, well, what am I going to try in my club this week based on that? And don't forget to bring your updated worksheet to your next officer meeting. Show them what's going on. Let them catch the fire, not because they've come to the training, but because they see somebody working with a tool that is making life simpler. And the more excited you are about the tool, the more they'll pick up on your excitement as well. So once again, thanks for being a part of this shift. And it's important to remember that we're not just getting things done. We're building clubs that grow and thrive and lead on purpose, which is really what this is all about. And I'm going to close with a quote I put on the worksheet. It's from an article that I have upcoming for my Toastmasters Division A website. But here's really what this is all about. Distinguished isn't just a title. It's evidence that your club is alive, thriving, and doing what Toastmasters is meant to do, help people grow. When done with intention, pursuing distinguished status is not about chasing a badge. It's about creating an environment where people love to learn, leaders grow naturally, and the club sustains itself through shared success. And when I get this article published, probably in a week or two, I'll send out a link to it in all of my regular emailings to people who are taking part in this pilot program. And with that, I'm going to go to Q&A. And I've been noticing what's in the chat, and so I think everybody's probably up, current with me. But are there any questions or thoughts or concerns, or maybe refinements on what I said? All righty. Well, with that, I appreciate your help in getting me to finish this on time. If you have any questions, my email address is on the slides, but it's also in all of the emails I've sent out. So you should be able to find it just by replying to an email. And you can let me know if you have any questions or concerns or thoughts. Next year, the next Toastmaster year, I've developed a strategy for Division A. I'm the Division A director next year. And so, my responsibility is to Division A. I've developed these tools and other tool sets for Division A. However, I've worked out into, I'm perfectly happy to bring this district-wide as I've been doing. Patty was a big driver on getting this pilot going to try it out. But what's going to happen is next year within Division A, and anybody who wants to come and partake in them, I'll be doing weekly coaching on these tools, and I'm just going to cycle through the tools. It's not so that one person comes to every meeting and gets the same boring stuff every time, boring because they've heard it already 10 times, but rather they know what's there and they know who in the club they want to help to learn how to use that tool, and they can send them to it. Or they can brush up, or you can come and in applying these things, you will learn things in your own environment. And what I'm doing is there'll be more coaching than what I've done here. This is much more presentation, but because people will already get the presentation, because I'm going to put these videos up so they can watch it, it's more coaching on these tools. So you'll be able to bring your real world stuff to me and to the rest of the group in the group coaching environment, and we'll be able to actually kind of brainstorm and kind of come up with some ideas together on that. So it's going to be an exciting new year. We're going to thrive next year, and we're building off of some great successes, and we're going to just make it an even more successful year. So with that, I'm going to, if there are no questions, thank you very much, Annetta. Appreciate that. Awesome. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and look forward to seeing you for tool number 5 next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.